What's going on, everyone? How's everybody doing tonight? This is Brett Shoemaker. I am actually here, and I just wanted to go ahead and get the broadcast started. I think we're waiting for Mr. Mike Behill. I think we're having some technical difficulties as to how he can join, but the webinar or online training tonight, or Google Hangout, whatever you want to call it, is obviously going to be for the OrGano Gold mastermind team here. For specifically the Colorado Springs market, but many of you may be actually calling in. Oh, there we go. We got Mr. Mike Behill. You figured it out. What's going on, Mr. Behill?
How you doing?
I was just doing a little introduction here and letting everybody know that for those of you that are watching in, you're probably tuning in because you're a part of the OrGano Gold mastermind team in Colorado Springs, or maybe you just follow us on Facebook or what have you. And we're going to be covering quite a few things tonight, specifically that Mr. Behill wanted to cover, as well as myself, as it pertains to the growth in the Colorado Springs market. So hopefully everybody can hear me. If you're watching on YouTube, Mike, if you would like, while you're there, if you want, so you don't have any background noise on your end, you can actually click the little square that has my picture on it. You can click that square, and then you can actually also mute out your microphone. That way we don't get any background noise until you have any questions. And so, did you hear me on that side, Mike? Mike, did you follow me? Mike, we're getting a little background noise. Are you clear on that end?
I can hear you.
You there? Okay, can you mute out your microphone then so we don't get a bunch of background noise? Hello. All right, I guess I take that as a yes. You got it done. All right, cool. So anyway, but guys, again, so if you're on here, you're probably in OrGano Gold, or maybe you're a coffee customer looking into OrGano Gold. Mike, I'm getting a lot of background noise, brother. Are you hearing me? All right, maybe we got it taken care of. All right. So we'll go ahead and get this thing started. Like I said, we were talking about some things as it relates to the OrGano Gold Colorado Springs market. And I wanted to definitely get on. Mr. Behill was adamant about doing this for the organization in the Colorado Springs market. So I definitely wanted to make this time available. I know it's the last day of the month here, so we kind of crammed it in. As you can see, I got a late workout. I'm still sweating from my workout, so excuse me if I have to wipe my sweating forehead here. But anyhow. Like I said, I wanted to go over some things that are really important. As many of you may know, we've got a lot of excitement and growth that's happening all over the world in OrGano Gold, specifically with our Nigeria launch. So a lot of exciting things happening. With that being said, I'm going to start to dive into a couple of topics. And one of the things that I want to talk about real quick first is how important it is for everybody to be on the same page or on the same sheet of music. For those of you that are watching, or for those of you that are maybe viewing in, because you're watching this on YouTube, that's fine. If you're going to have any questions, or maybe you have some input or some questions here near the end of the live stream, you can actually go to the team Facebook page, and I inputted a link into Facebook where you can actually join the panel. Join the panel where you can actually, input or ask questions rather than just commenting them on the YouTube feed. But either way, you can definitely make that happen, whether it be the comment strand or the comment thread, or the comment thread, or the Facebook, or the integration as it relates to the Google Plus stream here. So anyway, now let me move on here to the first topic that I want to cover. the first thing that I want to talk about again is being on the same sheet of music. Mr. Vigil and I were having a conversation yesterday about how important it is to have a sense of belonging, a sense of camaraderie. And believe it or not, for those of you that may or may not know, a lot of people are, as the industry standards will dictate, a majority of people in network marketing are not in it, so to speak, for the instant return or instant profit of building their business, because the majority of people, don't make money. That's why 3% of the people in network marketing make a majority of the money. It's not because the network marketing model is broke. It's not because of anything. It's just because those few people have the sufficient skills or are willing to dedicate themselves for an extended period of time and be persistent enough to actually have success. If you look at, the corporate infrastructure and corporate America, you can clearly see that, most of the people are working the regular jobs, and there's just a small percentage of people that are actually making the high salaries or working in the upper echelons of corporate. The biggest difference that you find between network marketing and a corporate America type of situation is the fact that, it's not politically driven. If you go out and, produce, then you're going to get promoted to the point to where you're able to get the ranks and get the income that you truly deserve. Whether your sponsor likes you as it relates to network marketing terms, it doesn't matter. If you have the sufficient leadership capabilities and you attract the right people and you create the amount of volume, you're going to get paid for the work that you do. And that's the biggest significant difference between that and corporate America. And that being said, again, one of the most important things is that people have something that they can feel that they belong in, where they don't feel like maybe they're not quite good enough, or they feel like it's not about the money, or maybe it's not about the coffee, maybe it's not just about the Ganoderma. Does the Ganoderma provide some incredible health benefits? Absolutely. But what about all of the other things that people are attracted to, that sense of well-being and connected to a body? And so that's one of the primary things that I wanted to touch base on real quick. One of the things that I will share and that will help each and every one of you relate to one another, relate to the organization as a whole, is you have to create a big team vision. And when I say a big team vision, you look at the company of OrGano Gold, right? Well, OrGano Gold at this point is a huge, multi-$100 million company. So, even though you're a part of OrGano Gold, it's kind of like saying, I'm a part of Walmart, right? Well, you're not going to say I'm a part of, Walmart as a whole. You might say, well, I'm a part of Walmart, but I am out of the South Texas district or the South Texas region or what have you. And in network marketing, because everybody's obviously in the same company and they don't have specific regions, so to speak, those regions are made up in network marketing of leaders who built out those particular regions. So, there's not a Walmart branch in Houston or a Walmart branch, or let me just say, there's not an OrGano Gold branch in Houston. There's not an OrGano Gold branch in other cities. And that's where individual leaders will take the torch, so to speak, and they will create a new movement in their city. And so what the OG Mastermind team represents is that type of, synergy, whereas, not only do you have just a big, huge corporate entity, but you also have, different limbs and different segments of people that all are feeding from the same source. Now, again, obviously everybody's feeding from the OrGano Gold source, so to speak, but again, it gives you a little bit of a purpose or a camaraderie, because you're a part of an elite branch of that OrGano Gold tree. And the idea is to grow that all over, where we have people where you can go to the Facebook page. And for those of you that got on through the YouTube page tonight, you notice that I put the link for this live stream on the Facebook page, right? So when you click on that, it pulls you to YouTube, and that is through the YouTube Mastermind Team channel. And so Facebook is something that most people that I think it's 7 out of 10 people, or maybe it's, I think it's 7 out of 10 people are on Facebook. Out of 6 billion people, I think there's 1 billion people on Facebook. So that means, 1 out of every, I don't know what the percentages are, but the bottom line is most of you that are listening to this have a Facebook page. And so you want to create the most seamless amount of, transition to get people to follow or connect. And so the first thing that I would encourage everybody that's listening here to stay connected to is the Facebook mastermind team page. That way you can connect with other leaders if other things are going on. If you have an event, and obviously you're going to post it to your own personal page, well, you can also, post it on the OG Mastermind Team Facebook page. That way, if anybody else in different markets wants to share with their team or what have you, you have that there. You can, congratulate your new people for getting promoted. You can congratulate them for getting promoted on that site or on the fan page as well. And then, as you know, we'll be feeding other stuff on the Facebook page, like this live stream. Okay, maybe there'll be a OG Mastermind Team website post for new leadership here in the future, and we're gonna definitely be getting that ramped up as we move forward with all of our new star achievers and 2-star, 6-star beyond achievers. We'll be recognizing those as well. That's a perfect example. You go to OrGano Gold's site. Now, OrGano Gold has the recognition, but you've got hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of people. Well, would somebody feel more important if they're one of 1,000, or would they feel more important if they're one of 25, right? And so maybe, you guys can get a better understanding of what I was talking about earlier. The smaller the group, the more exclusive that it is, right? If I threw a party at my house and said, hey, everybody's invited, then, everybody would be like, oh, yeah, it's just one of those parties that Brett throws. If I say there's only an elite group of people that are invited and you would have got an email, whether you're interested in go to the party or not, you're probably going to go to your email just to see if you got an invite to the party. And that's not as it relates to OrGano Gold. It's just as it relates to, any type of event. So that's very important. We can definitely talk about, or if anybody has any questions as it relates to social media and how to do certain things on social media. I don't want to get into that because then, I can talk for hours about social media and how to promote yourself online. So I don't want to get into that. But one of the things that Mr. Vio wanted me to talk about tonight, and it's very important as we move into June, or July rather, is goal setting. And a lot of people, don't have goals that they set, or maybe they have goals that they set and they're very different, or maybe sometimes you'll take these goal setting classes and it says, well, I want to do X by X and Z and all that kind of stuff, and they create these volume goals or maybe even a rank goal, but you don't break it down to the finite number as to what it actually entails for you to get that rank or that goal done. I had somebody not too long ago text me about getting diamond done. And quite frankly, that's great, and I want that to be everybody's goal, but not everybody is going to be ready to go diamond. And this goal setting thing that I'm going to talk about is not, it's not something that everybody can do, because everybody that gets involved in your business is not at the same level in their life. In other words, they don't have the same level of influence, they don't have the same level of business expertise. And so everybody's goals are going to be different. So the first thing that I would tell each and every one of you is, I don't care if you've been in OrGano Gold for 6 months. I don't care if you've been in OrGano Gold for, 6 years for that matter. If you're looking at setting a goal and growing the business, you have to first consider, what your background is, what your success level has been in business. If you've never owned a business, well, that's going to be a completely different goal than somebody that has a business, right? So, I think one of the first things that everybody should do when they first get started is, decide, what it is that you want to accomplish. What's your goal, in the business? And it kind of relates back to why. I hate to say, what's your why? But many people say, well, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be rich, or, I want to be free. Well, how much does that cost? Do you want to get your spouse free? Well, excuse me, how much does that take a month? And I can't say that I would create the same type of goal. If somebody's goal is $3,000 a month, but they have absolutely no business experience, they have no sphere of influence, then my goal setting for them, or my activity tracking, results for that goal on a monthly basis is going to be completely different than somebody who maybe wants to make $3,000 a year that has a sales background, or that has a background in having their own business. And is an influencer type of personality, because they should be able to grow their business faster. And if that were to be the case with influencers, for a perfect example, how you would launch a business, which we're going to talk about that a little bit as well, I wanted to work that in there as well, is you're not going to launch the business the same way for somebody that has a large sphere of influence. All right, I muted you out, Mike, so you're gonna have to unmute yourself after when you guys have questions. But anyway, so somebody that has a sphere of influence, two people both have a goal of $3,000 a month. The goal that I'm going to set for an influencer and the goals that I'm going to set for somebody that's not an influencer are going to be completely different, because I can't, my expectations have to be in line with the individual. What happens so many times in business, especially in network marketing, I've seen it over and over again, is people come in and they look at, who went diamond in 11 days or who went diamond in 30 days. Well, what you don't hear is the other side of the story. You look at, people like David Imolitier and different people that have been in network marketing. Well, they've been in network marketing since they're 21 years old, and now they're 31 years old. Well, that's 10 years in network marketing. Now, granted, they've been in OrGano Gold for, 4 or 5 years. But you look at that, and they had, 3 to 5 years experience prior to OrGano Gold. Well, that's a big deal. How many people do you know in business that have been ambitiously seeking and growing in their particular field of business for 10 years that aren't successful? I know the Montaños from Colorado Springs. They've got a very successful, wheel and tire business. I can almost guarantee you that they just didn't go into business 2 or 3 years ago. But if you say wheels and tires, then, in your mind, you think of Mi Gente Wheels and Tires, right? I think that's the name of their company, I'm pretty sure. But that's what you think about when you think about wheels and tires. So what everybody has to get themselves to is, when they think about success, when they think about business, when they think about entrepreneurialism, when they think about, creating a residual income stream, they think about you. And it's not so much even the company that you're associated with, because God forbid something happen, let's say something happened to OrGano Gold, or something happened to the other company that I was involved with before, then if you build that around the company completely, well, then you don't really have any security in yourself. Now, I don't foresee that being a big issue in OrGano Gold, and coffee is a great, product and a great commodity to attach it to. But I'm just trying to create the thought process in your mind so you can kind of understand how you have made a decision to align yourself with a company, because that company aligns themselves with your principles and your philosophies. So let's move back to goal setting here. I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of background on, setting the right expectation and, kind of your experience level of the new person that you're creating goals with. But if your goal, when you first get started, was, let's just say, for example, $3,000 a month, I would do what you call reverse engineer what you want, right? So let's just say, for example, you want to make $3,000 a month. Well, we all know that building the business is going to be, a process, so to speak, if you don't have success in network marketing. So this is for somebody that is not a network marketer, somebody that is not a person that has already been in network marketing. Okay, you ask yourself, how can I create $3,000 of residual income that is not tied to me going out and working or having to go and drum up business on a monthly basis, right? So I would just work in reverse, okay? Let's just say every box of coffee is a $15, let's just say $13 profit. If you sold it for $30, some people sell it for $34. We'll just do 15 for easy number's sake. So $3,000 a month. I'm just doing this real quick here. That's 200 customers, right? Actually, it's 200 boxes of coffee. So you do 200 boxes. Every customer should probably go through at least 2 boxes a month if they're single and they're not married, right? So I'm going to divide that by 2. So that would mean that I need 100 customers that are consuming 2 boxes a month. So you tell somebody that wants to make $3,000 a month, they have no business background, maybe they're ambitious, maybe they're a go-getter. You could take any Johnny off the street and say, with 100 customers, you can make $3,000 a month residual income. That's cash money in your pocket, essentially tax-free, because you've already paid the tax when you purchased your coffee from OrGano Gold. So that right there is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Now, let's say you start to build a business because of that. Well, those numbers are going to start to reduce themselves automatically through building the organization. So when we talk about goal setting, let's talk about somebody who may have a little bit of experience that needs to launch their business. And then we'll go back to it and talk about specific goals that you need to have for each one. If somebody had a sphere of influence and they know 10, 20 go-getters, I can tell you from experience, when you sponsor somebody into the business that has a sphere of influence, they're already thinking in their head how they're going to expose the people that they know that they have influence with, and they're already in their mind thinking about, how should we do this? Should we do a conference call? Should I do a meeting at my house? They're already thinking about it. So not all the time, but in most cases, if you don't sponsor somebody that's already asking you those types of questions, like how do we get, I got all these people, I want to get this in front of them, or they're not telling you, I got this person and that person and that person, then you already understand that you're probably dealing with somebody that doesn't have a large sphere of influence, but they're looking for more for themselves or their family. So let's take that person, for example. Maybe they're not a business owner, but they have, they're spitting out people left and right for you to talk to. I would do one of two things. If I was local in the market, in other words, I sponsor somebody local and I live there, I would say this is what we need to do, okay? I'm going to go over inviting with them. I'm not going to go through all of the, getting started steps, okay? I'm not saying don't do the 4 steps or don't do the getting started, but you have to focus on the main thing, right? Because you don't have a short attention span with every person that you sponsor into the business, okay? I'm going to have them make a list of those people that we're going to talk to, but I'm not going to make a list and talk to them about calling people to sell coffee to initially, because I don't care about them selling coffee. I want to see how quickly I can get through their network, because, again, you have a short attention span with people. So if I know somebody's an influencer and a go-getter, I want to go into their network as fast as possible because I've got a short window of time. Once I get into their network, then I can train 50 people at one time how they need to do the 4 steps and all that kind of stuff at a Saturday training, at a Super Saturday. But your initial goal is to see how you can compound time frames. Network marketing is all about leverage and influence, right? So if I sponsor somebody, I need to see how quickly I can leverage and how quickly I can get into their sphere of influence. If they don't have a sphere of influence, they're not a go-getter, or they're a go-getter, but they don't really have a large influence of people, well, then you're going to immediately get into, okay, your aunt, your uncle, okay, your family. You're not going to downplay it and make it sound like, oh, you don't have any influencers. Oh, okay, so you're not really, okay. No, you're going to process that in your brain or through communication with your upline, and you're going to take that energy with that new person, and you're going to now focus it into getting customers. You may even take it a step further. I've got a gentleman in Washington State named Jeremy Chambers, and he is an absolute expert at taking people through calling their list of friends and family members that may or may not be like go-getters, or just people that they know. Maybe they're church members, maybe they're whatever. Maybe, we're not going to prejudge, maybe they're open for an opportunity and maybe they want to blow out the business, but more than likely he knows them as a supporter, and he's going to start with the customer acquisition model first. So he may actually take that script with people in his team that he newly sponsors, and he'll go straight after getting customers. Because here's what happens. When he's with them, making the phone calls, hey, we're at the contest with Johnny, and Johnny's trying to, sell 20 boxes in his contest, and he wants you to support him. Will you support him? Sometimes he'll position it as a job, that they're just started working for a coffee company, because you got to remember, these people that he's working with, a lot of them have never owned a business. They're factory workers, but they're hungry, and they're thirsty for more for their life, and they're thirsty for a change. So they're willing to do whatever, and most of them are, from an immigrant background, and so they're used to, going out and doing the work. They don't care about what some Americans do, and well, I'm too good for this, and I don't want to call my friends and family. They're not into all that. They're, show me how I can make some money. It's legal. Let's roll with it, right? So, I mean, he's done a phenomenal job with that. So, that's how I would do that. So, that's not exact specific steps with goal setting, but that's the problem. So many times in business, people try to give a cookie cutter solution. The reason why leaders are leaders is because a leader can look at somebody and they instantly know, I can't go here with that person, so this is where I need to go. They're very good on their feet and in the flow. And that takes time. It takes a lot of, that's why staying in touch with your leadership is very important, because they've went through more people, more personality types, more background types than most people. And so they know, okay, this is where you're probably going to have the most results with this kind of person. This is probably where you're going to have the most results with that kind of person. It's never 100%, but again, this is just, a game of being able to apply the right things to the right people. So I can talk specifically about goals as it relates to people, but I could sit here and say, well, you need to acquire 10 customers a day, or you need to prospect 10 people a day. Well, maybe your goal is only to make $500 a month. So I really would need to give or have people specifically ask me, here's my situation, this is what I want to accomplish, and what should my goal be? What's a realistic expectation for my goals? Because I have people sometimes that are like, they're not even, barely dual team qualified, and they're talking about going Sapphire. Well, I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but if you're not even dual team qualified and you want to go Sapphire and you've been in the business for quite a few months, the likelihood of you already going through your influence of people is pretty high. So that's not a realistic expectation that you're going to go Sapphire in the next 30 days, because you've been in the business, you've already introduced the concept to people that you know, and this is how people go Sapphire and Ruby and Emerald and Diamond in 30, 40, 60 days. I went Emerald in 60 days. I was going through my sphere of influence. I didn't go out and sample a bunch of people coffee and go Emerald in 60 days. That's not how it happened. That's not how it happens. So hopefully that makes some sense. There, let me see here. I had some other notes here. Attention plan, launch preparation. No, there's more. So no. Okay. So one other thing that I want to talk about is I hit launch. When we talked about the 2020 plan, again, that's gonna vary based upon the person. Now, for an influencer, 2020 in 6 months is a great plan. 20 and 20 can also work for somebody who doesn't have a sphere of influence if they're going to go out and meet new people and prospect. But again, in most cases where you're dealing with cold prospects, right? People that you don't know, the numbers are going to be greater, because if you don't have trust established with the person, it's going to be greater. Now, here's what I will say. Let's say you go through 10 people, or let me give you an example. Let's say you personally sponsor 40 people, and you get lucky and you sponsor 4 people that have a large sphere of influence. Well, you've got 4 legs right there that if you effectively work through those influencers and compound, you don't, the whole 6 and 6, 3 to 4 quit, 3 to 4 incubate, 3 to 4 build it big, your equation is not going to be 3 to 4 quit. It's not going to be 3 to 4 build it big. You're going to have 9 or 11 out of 12 that quit, but 1 out of 12 was your influencer, and because you were able to identify that person and have them do the right necessary action steps, you're able to take and compound those people and create a diamond ship out of it. So I think it's unfair to say that anybody can put 20 on your left and 20 on your right and go diamond in 6 months. It's a great equation, but for most people it's just not realistic, because I can tell you right now, I know 10,000 people that have been in the business for over 6 months that aren't diamond yet, because this is not how it works. So one other thing I'll talk about, and then Mike, I'll let you chime on and ask any question, is family time and how to balance your schedules and things of that nature. And I'm going to throw a little bit of a loophole that may be a little controversial to what many of you have heard, but through my experience, when somebody is at a place in their life that something's going to happen and something's going to give, it's very effortless. Okay. If you find yourself in a situation to where you're putting in a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and you're not getting results, and you've had that situation for, multiple years over, it's probably a situation where going out and grinding 24/7 is not going to be the solution. Now, I'm not saying that that's not going to be a part of the process, but there's probably some other underlying issues that are keeping you from that success pattern. Now, the natural entrepreneur inside of a person wants to, do it by any means necessary. And I'm here to tell you myself, you're willing to almost sacrifice everything just to get a certain result or just to get a certain thing. Now that I've come to the other side of this, okay? Now for me, and I'm just going to share with you guys so you can understand, my journey in network marketing the first 18 months was pretty hellacious. And what I mean by that is I have been a very success-oriented person my whole life. Now, I got into the military in 2003, 2004, 2005. I got into corporate America. Shortly thereafter, my whole focus was climbing the ladder in success. So if I had to look in my brain and go back in time, now it's 14 years, and as it relates to when I got started in OrGano Gold, that was 5 years ago. So I had a good 5-year track record of climbing the ranks and, making it happen consistently. And so those 5 years, or those 4 years, and then I got into network marketing for a year and literally made $8,500 in my first 12 months, which is horrible, but some people may think that's awesome. But I spent $13,000 trying to make $8,500, right? But then when I got into OrGano Gold, it all clicked. So nobody's process is going to be exactly the same, but this is what I will tell you. I sacrificed a lot initially, and I went through a lot after getting and having the initial success that we had in OrGano Gold. There was a lot of things that I did early on in OrGano Gold that, looking back, I would do completely different. And I'm going to share with you what that is right now, what that looks like. You have got to have a certain level of emotional balance in your life. I don't mean time balance. It's impossible for anything to be balanced. Just the whole notion of balance. I'll give you an example. If you're on a seesaw, this is not balanced. This is not balanced. This is balanced. Well, there's no seesaw. If you go into a park and you see two people on a seesaw, there's not going to be, you're not going to, you would think that you've frozen in time if you go and see a seesaw like this. At some point, it's leaning towards one way or the other. And that's how your time is, right? So for you to have 33% time in business and 33% time at home and 33% time for work, it's just not going to happen. The key is that you have a certain level of emotional balance. And this really starts in the home. I'm not going to say what you need to do with your personal spiritual life or whatever. I think that's pretty important for me and for our family, but that's here nor there. But we find that to be our first thing that's most helpful for us. If we're spiritually in tune and aligned, we know which attitude or how to be in the right mental frame of mind in terms of our attitude. It's kind of like a benchmark, or that's the default attitude setting is what I get out of our spiritual life focus, right? So that's number one. Number two is you got to have the husband and wife have to be on the same page. And I'm just telling you right now, if you're couples, husbands, wives, or whatever, I don't care if your husband works the business or doesn't work the business, or if your wife doesn't work the business or doesn't work the business, if they don't agree with you working the business, it's going to be very difficult for you to have success. And it goes back to what I said earlier. If 12 to 18 months something doesn't break, then there's other issues that are going on outside of the business or outside of your tenacity or your work ethic that have to be fixed in order for you to push through the universe, right? I guess is the best way to explain it. So it's just so important when you have couples and you have, you know, time. If a husband doesn't know that a wife is working the business, or a wife's working the business and the husband doesn't really agree, you know, there's some issues there that they need to sit down together and say, look, this is why I'm doing it. Maybe you don't understand why I'm doing it. Maybe you think I'm taking time away from you or the kids or whatever, but I'm actually trying to build a security for us so we can retire and we can have residual income and we can, you know, not have to be worried about our wonderful Social Security program and the government to be providing for us. Husband and wife that maybe are, you know, doing the business and you're constantly back and forth with, I mean, you got to sit down and talk about your goals. You got to sit down and talk about where you're going. You got to sit here and talk about why you're doing what you're doing. If your husband or your wife is gone, you know, a good percentage of the time, first of all, I would say that that's normal, but at the same token, there needs to be specific time that you're, you know, allotting for family time. Michelle and I, what we do, it's been different with the baby here, but we do date night, you know, where you have X amount. I have in a 30-day time period, this is just how we do it. I'm not saying you have to do this, but in a 30-day time period, I have to take her on 2 date nights. So that could come on day 1 and it could come on day 29, but in that 30-day time frame, I have to have 2 date nights. Now, that doesn't mean husbands or wives, if you're going on dates or going on date nights, that you know, counteracts you guys having to be on the same page. You know, I think the biggest problems with couples when it comes to building the business or doing any business is a lot of times, you know, wives, for example, could say, well, the husband's the provider. That's his job to provide. I don't need to be involved with the business or providing. Well, that's hogwash. Because if that's the case, then the husband doesn't need to worry about, you know, the kids taking them to baseball practice or changing diapers or doing whatever, because that's your concern. You're supposed to deal with the house and I'm supposed to provide. So it has to be a mutual working together. And what I find personally is a lot of times when people are having challenges in their business or having success, a lot of it stems from a lack of peace internally, emotionally, self-confidence-wise. And for married couples, that's going to stem from how your house is. I mean, that's your first ministry, your first focus. I mean, I'm not trying to make this a spiritual thing, but I mean, if your house is jacked up, you can only hide your other stuff for so long until it becomes a burden, and you're going to have to do without one of them or minimize time in one of them for a period of time to get everything on track, okay? Unless both couples are working together vigorously to accomplish both at the same time, which that rarely happens. But that's what I'll say about couples, because I've been through it. I've been through, I can't say I've been through everything, but we've been through a lot. And it's a constant recalibration process. I mean, because you've got different things change, business change, you know, things are down, things are up, you know, so you're going to constantly be going through a calibration process, and it's just being able to shift and adjust as you go is what really makes a long-term business work. So that's pretty much all the things that I wanted to talk about and cover. I talked about one of the things that Mr. Villa wanted me to cover in terms of goal setting, but I had some other things I wanted to talk about with that, because, you know, we've got most people in the market have been in the market for a while. Some of you are new. And so any question that you guys have, you know, shoot away. You can unmute yourself, Mike, and hopefully I'll pull up the YouTube channel here and see if anybody has sent any questions. And by the way, if you're watching this replay on YouTube and you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the comments, and we'll try to get to it over time and hopefully be able to, you know, respond to your questions or your comments. So take it away, Mr. Mike B. Hill.
Well, I just want to say thank you for taking time to do this with us tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions?
Who's all there? I can't see everybody.
We have the Montanos.
Hey, did I get it right? It's mi gente, right?
You got it right. Yeah.
So mi gente got a little plug. So anybody that types in OrGano Gold or anything on YouTube is gonna get knows where to get their wheels and tires in Colorado Springs.
We got the Tauruses, Floyd and Kate.
Hello.
Hi.
We have Mr.
Was Floyd in San Antonio?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
They both were.
Okay, I recognize Floyd. I think Kate's kind of far off and fuzzy from your camera here.
We're right here, yeah.
I couldn't,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember me. Wait, Tim.
Wait, say hi.
Hi.
Don't be shy.
So then we have, of course, my dad, Robert V. Hill, back there. We have Stephen V. Hill, my cousin. Sarah's way back there in the back.
Sarah V. Hill, the Paris vacationer. Hey, we know Sarah's taking her time balance for vacation.
Yep.
So Sarah, we won't put Mike on blast, but I mean, what happened? He wasn't taking you on enough date nights. You just said, "To heck with it, I'm going to Paris without him."
It was my birthday. I don't have anything I can say about that.
Hey, that's a good one. Plead the fifth. There you go.
And we got Antoine Lambert right there next to my dad.
Antoine! What's going on, man? I've been trying to keep up with you in the gym, man. I've been in the gym, so next time.
Hey, so let's go back a little bit. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I knew you were gonna have the first question.
So let's go back because this is very important out here for not only for myself but for a lot of other people. Let's go. Let's go back to the spirit of influence because the spirit of influence is the thing is we do follow our approaches. We talk to people, even though we do it majority at our place of business. We try to do it outside of it as much as we can. But the spirit of influence is big because we, as far as me and John Boy over at at Mahente, we try to confront everybody that walk in that door. We forget that we're supposed to sell them rims and shoes or whatever else we're supposed to sell, and we're trying to get them in front of the majority of the information that we can while we work on the car or whatever in the garage. But the spirit of influence, not only be showing the plan, be sampling, be showing a lot of different things that OrGano has to offer. But what more is out there for us as far as being a spirit of influence to the people that we are showing OrGano Gold?
So basically what you're asking me is how can you grow your sphere of influence so you can attract the people that want to go out and build the business, basically is what you're asking, right?
Or getting people to respond at that time more about OrGano Gold. After we sample them, they like the coffee. How can not only with follow-ups, how do we be a spirit of influence at that time? The time that we're showing the plan, the time we're sampling.
Okay, that's two questions. Because I can answer the first one, and I'm going to show you guys an example. I'm going to screen share here in a second. But the second part, in terms of, in other words, you want to know how you can be good in the heat of the moment, right?
Right, the spirit of influence. We don't want nobody to leave like, oh, okay, well, we'll think about it now. We want to have that spirit of influence while we have that time.
I'm just gonna keep it real, okay? When you have customers coming in a rim shop, okay, and you have rims, shoes, other ancillary products, they're not coming in there to build wealth. They're coming in there to buy something. So your best asset, okay, your best asset when you're talking to people in the rim shop is going to be straight customer acquisition. I wouldn't even think about talking about, you know, how to get wealthy in the rim shop when they're there. Okay, what I would focus on is how to get people on the coffee and how to get them consuming it. Because one thing that you do have as a benefit in the rim shop is, let's say 100 people, I mean, let's say the market grows outside of y'all's organization, and, you know, 10 people or 100 people get in the business, and they go talk to 10 of their neighbors and relatives that live in the local market. Now 100 people have talked to 10 people. Now you have 1,000 people, right? Mm-hmm. And those 1,000 people maybe talk to a couple. At some point or the other, you're going to have some of those people trickle into the rim shop that have been exposed to the business, right?
Right.
Now you have two dynamics. Number one, you're like, oh, is this that thing where you can do your own business, whatever, I heard my neighbor was doing it. Yeah. Well, you know what? I love the coffee, so yeah, if I can buy the coffee, let me buy some coffee. Or number two, hey, I've heard about this coffee, let me try it. So I would come straight customer approach, and once you have a returning customer over time that is starting to buy the coffee and really is, you've built a relationship because they've come back, they bought rims, now they're buying coffee. You know, you've got a certain level of rapport built with them. Now it's easier to say, hey, you know, I'm going to ask you a question. You know, have you ever kept your incomes options open for making additional money? Now you've got a relationship with them, and now you can transition them. Now, the problem with that whole scenario is that is a slower process. So it's much more difficult to make that go fast because you already have a certain amount of customers that come in. The amount of people that are going to buy coffee or be interested in becoming a coffee customer is maybe, let's say, 25%. Now, out of that 25%, the percentage of the people that over time are going to do what I'm talking about, that's a process. They may come back once a month or once every 2 months or once a quarter to buy coffee. So it's going to be very slow. So, you don't want to make that your only focus, but it's definitely a tool that I would put on my tool belt, but it wouldn't be my assault rifle that I'm carrying around with me every day. It's going to be like a grenade. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to pull it out when I need to use it. But as far as, you know, walking every day, I'm going to screen share with you guys because I want to show you something, because most people, you know, will talk about certain things, but they won't actually show you. So I'm going to just show you here. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
All right. This is my back office, okay? So if you notice here, you see all these people here? I'm going to go one by one here, okay? And I'm going to go and show you all these people so you can see. This is my mom, okay? This is the first person that I sponsored, okay? How do I do this here? I'm trying to go see how I can. Okay. This is Miles and Jackie Anderson. I did not know them prior to. I knew them prior to OrGano Gold for a brief moment, right? This is, I don't even know who that is, okay? So, oh, actually, I remember who this is. This is a guy that I met at, he called, you know what? This guy called off of a drop card, I think. how did I meet this guy? Anyways, I didn't know this guy. He called me off of some type of drop card or sign that I had. Okay? This was a guy that I knew that I met at the gym. I knew this guy for a long time. Probably about 5 years, okay? You following me? I'm going through this because I want you guys to see that I'm going to show you in a minute how I met these people. This guy right here, you know I met this guy? At Starbucks. I met his wife, and I prospected her. This guy, you know how I met this guy? I met him prior to OrGano Gold in another business, but you know how I met him? Because I met him at a baptism. I was getting baptized. My wife and I were getting baptized. This was like 7 or 8 years ago. When we first got married, we got baptized, and he was watching his aunt get baptized at the baptism, and we just started talking, and he said, what do you do? And I told him I was in another company at the time, but it was network marketing. He goes, you talking about network marketing? I go, yeah. He goes, you mean you make money in that business? I said, yeah, I make about, anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a month. And he said, are you serious? And I said, yeah, I'm serious. He goes, I don't know one person that's ever been able to show me that they made $1 of profit in network marketing. This is a true story. I met him at a baptism. So, that's that guy. This is Tracy and Lou Humphreys. You know how I met them? I'll tell you a funny story. I met them in another company, okay? They weren't in my group. I wasn't in their group. But you know why this is the thing you look at. It's not go to one company to another company. Here's the thing that you have to focus on. I was in that other company. I didn't have one single person in New York, right? Because they live in New York and New Jersey, right? But the way that other company worked is the compensation plan was different in Texas than it was in New York and New Jersey, right? But they couldn't even find somebody in New York and New Jersey to sit down with them and explain to them how the compensation plan worked. I wasn't in their group. They weren't in my downline. And during that weekend, I stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning with them, explaining with them how the compensation plan works. Miles Anderson was actually there that same night that I met them, because I was in Miles Anderson's group in another company. So, I'll just so you guys understand, prior to that other company, I didn't know Miles and I didn't know the Humphreys. Right now, those are 2 of my 5 largest legs of business right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I knew them, and they didn't follow me because they thought I was a nice guy. I was in Miles' group. I was like his #1 producer out of 400 people. Out of 400 people that was in his group, I had over 100 of those people in my group in that other company the first, 12 months that I was in that company. Out of those 100 people that were in my group, I sponsored 39 of them.
Wow.
So think about that for a minute. 39 people, you're in a company for 14 months. I made $10,000 in that extra 2 months, and I sponsored 39 people. So the question that I have is, how many of you sponsored 39 people and made nothing?
That's a good way to change your story. Don't do that. Did your mother give you your medication today?
What medication?
Is your kid?
Oh my God.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
So this is just one step. You understand? This is just the first 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the way I was able to attract these 2 people is because of my work ethic and my results. I hadn't made a lot of money. I could show you. Well, I don't know if I have the 1099 anymore, but when I met Tracy and Lou, I had made, at that point, maybe $7,000 in network marketing. I wasn't rich. I don't know if y'all saw the post the other day. I'll show y'all a funny picture. Y'all want to see something funny? Check this out. You're going to laugh when I show you this. I don't know if I'm be able to find it, but I found a picture the other day of Tracy and I at that event, and I had a T-shirt on. I was a scrub. I had no suit. I didn't even own a suit at that time. Anyway, I don't know who knows where it's at, but anyway, I had it the other day. Yeah, so anyway, I could find it, but I don't want to waste so much of time trying to find this. Pointless. Anyway, so so that's hopefully an example you guys can see. Let me go to the next thing here. This guy right here, I met him when I was at Toyota Rent-A-Car, when I worked a corporate job, and I told him about the other company, he didn't get in. When I told him about OG, he got in and didn't do jack squat. Oh, by the way, if y'all notice, this person sponsored 1 person. This person sponsored 0. This sponsored person 10. This person sponsored 10. This guy right here, when we first got started, sponsored 10 people, almost went Sapphire, and he quit. Guess how I met him? I bought a mattress at Mattress Firm. I prospected him, and he got in the business. So that was part of my first 60 days in the business. When Shelton Bowles got in the business, Shelton's first CJM that he saw was at this guy's house right here. This guy right here sponsored 29 people. Jamel Fields, Sapphire. Okay? Sponsored another leg that ended up sponsoring somebody in Wisconsin, where there's a couple Sapphires out there. Again, now, you know, things always change, guys. I mean, this is just part of the deal, you know? So I met Jamel, and he tried to recruit me in another company 6 years ago. We built a relationship. Eventually, I sponsored him into my business. And he's got several thousand or several hundred people in the business in his group because of him. Exotic Coffee. Yeah, they quit. I don't know who that is. This guy right here, this is Al Aaron's group. I met them through the other company that I was in. I mean, you see what I'm saying? It's just being, this was prospect, this guy's prospected. Half of these people that I'm sharing with y'all these are prospected that I prospect. This is somebody that I knew from corporate America. This Shelton, right here. Lexus Coffee, somebody in my sphere of influence. I mean, so look, these people came in, you know, 2 months after I got in. I was still working on different people because when I first got started, I was running with the people that were running. Lexus Coffee, never did nothing, 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 never did nothing. Look, you see this? You see these people getting started doing 0?
Yeah.
That means they didn't sponsor nobody. They didn't do nothing. 0. I don't even know who that is. Oh, this is a guy I prospected, sponsored 2 people. A guy, oh, here's another guy I prospected at Foot Locker. He was 1 story below me at the Galleria Mall in Houston. Came into business, sponsored 15 people. Okay? Guy from Foot Locker. This guy called up a sign, I think. This is my uncle. Never did jack.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is Antoine again.
Yes, sir.
So go back to your first line. With your mom.
Okay.
Go back to your first line where your mom was the first person you sponsored. Is that the first one right there?
Uh-huh.
Okay, which one of them out of that group became one of your superstars?
Miles Anderson and Tracy and Lou.
So those became your superstars. So those were your first signups. After your mom, those were your first signups, and those became your superstars.
Two of them.
Okay.
Let me click. Okay, here's what I want you to do. Look at the purple. You see these right here? You see these? Sapphire, ruby, emerald, and diamond. Those are purple. Okay. So I'm gonna, and these are obviously through timelines. I'm gonna click on just these numbers, and I want y'all to watch the purple here. Okay.
Okay.
9-2.
Now I'm on 3. 4, nothing. 5. This was my biggest leg ever right here. This is Jeff Walker.
That's 4 levels down.
He quit.
No. These are all personally sponsored people.
Oh, okay, okay.
Well, he quit, but he left me a lot of people, and he's about to come back.
They all come back.
That's it. As long as you stay focused, that's the key. So here's the deal. So here's another one. 6. There's another sapphire right here. 7, nothing. 8, nothing. 9, nothing. 10, nothing. 11, nothing. 12, nothing. 13, nothing. 14, nothing. And there you go.
Brad,
Yeah.
when you, Mr. Shoemaker, when you prospect, what do you do with it when you prospect exactly? I want to see if it's the same thing I do when I go out or when I'm stuck at work all day. So what do you do when you prospect somebody? Is it just telling them about the product, or is it?
No, it's not. It's not about the product at all. That's how I did it. Okay. Now I may give the product at the end of the exchange, but when I'm meeting somebody, at the end of the day, you've got to impress people with your persona. They got to be, they got to be smelling. They got to be smelling. They got to be getting high off of your ether, if you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So that's why, for me, the most effective way to do that is to dress sharp. If you're dressed sharp, I mean, think about it. When you go somewhere and you see somebody that's dressed like sharp, you're like, man, I wonder what he does, because he's looking sharp. If you see somebody that's got flip-flops and shorts and a tank top on, you're gonna be like, okay, no big deal. He just came from the beach, right? So the first thing is I'm sharp. Second thing is my posture and my swagger is on a whole nother level. So it's just like, I mean, think about, I hate to use this as an example, but I'm going to use it as an example because, Antoine always has a lot of great questions, and he's good. If you guys can recall, when you were in the courting stage with your wife or your significant other, or you were in the club, you didn't go up to some girl and be like, hey, I was kind of thinking, well, maybe, possibly, if I get your number, then I can possibly take you on a date, and I might be able to show you a good time. You're like, look, honey, if you roll with me, I'm going to be able to give you everything you want and then some.
Wow.
So if you're not coming across with that level of posture when you're talking to somebody about the business, that's why you're not attracting people that you want, because you're not smelling yourself enough yet to attract them. I guess I was just cocky and arrogant enough to think that at some point I was going to be able to do it.
So my thing is, I think on the spirit, because that spirit of influence that you brought up, I felt was a good point that you brought up, because when we in our situation and we're approaching these people, I think our appearance is actually throwing a lot of it off. Even though we're trying to provide a great product and show a great product, here we are, just like, I don't know if you can see me right now. This is how I go to work. This is how I'm looking at work. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a nice, shirt on. I don't have a nice slacks on, and I'm trying to present to them as I'm working in an environment where I'm busting my tail, labor-wise. I'm trying to present to them a $1 billion business and trying to show them how to earn it in this kind of, appearance. I feel that I'm throwing them off, so I'm not giving a good spirit of influence, because they're looking at me like, well, how come you over here doing this and you trying to tell me how to get out of my situation and you over here doing this? And that's the time frame that we have, because we're super busy between our ministry and church.
Let me stop you. Let me give you an idea here. If you've got somebody that you think's a go-getter, let me give you I'm going to put myself in your situation, right? Because here's the cool thing that you guys do have. You're working in an environment where the owner or the boss of the shop will let you steal customers and put them in your business all day long. I wish I had that situation when I was in the business. I'd have been able to get paid I've been able to finance my freedom, as I always like to say. So here's what I would do. I would say, look, Johnny, you know what? You're a sharp guy, and I can tell you're a real go-getter. Like if they're an insurance salesman, or maybe I can just tell they're a hustler. I will say, look, I've got something that I want to share with you. What would you be open to making some additional money outside of work? I work with a group of people outside of my job. I just got connected with some very influential, successful people that are making an extreme amount of money, and I can't get into it all right now because I'm at work, but what do you say we get together for a cup of coffee and chat? Now, you're pulling them out. You don't even tell them it's coffee. I wouldn't even talk to that person about Organo oil coffee unless they saw it sitting on the shelf, because you don't want to waste that potential go-getter prospect on being a customer if you really feel or you're vibing on their ether and you think they got what it takes to make it happen. I mean, my thing is, what I look for is not necessarily just people that are sharp dressed, but people that carry themselves well. Because, again, if I saw Antoine at Starbucks, if I was dumb enough to think that this guy is dressed in a t-shirt and pants so he can't do nothing, I just lost out. But what I will be paying attention to, now I will calculate dress into the equation. But if you're dressed like you're dressed now, and your communication is on point, your spirit is good, and you chit-chat back and forth, and I can tell that you're a go-getter because you got swagger and, more importantly, confidence. I can smell confidence on people all day long. If you got confidence, then more than likely you're the leader of the pack in your group of friends, or whether you're in AA or Boy Scouts of America, I don't care what group you're involved in, but you're probably an influencer if you got confidence and swagger. So that's some of the things that I look for. And I just out-confidence them and then when they ask me what I do, I just keep them guessing so I can pull them away, get them at Starbucks, and then you can pull out a gold magazine and say, look, you see this guy right here? I work directly with him. This is the guy I was telling you about, is making $250,000 a year. Let me get you on the phone with him and introduce you here in a minute. Boom. And then that's when you do a three-way. I mean, that's how it works. That's how I did it.
Yeah, because, we feel that everywhere we go, every time we meet somebody, that's a CJM right there. I don't care if we at Walmart. I don't care if we at PetSmart. I don't care if we at Home Depot. If I got opportunity to talk to a person, that's how I feel like, man, this is a CJM right here.
So you're saying you have an opportunity to talk about the product and the business, right? That's what you're saying?
Right.
Okay, let me tell you what that's like doing, and so you can get just an idea here. And I appreciate the questions because that's good. So that's like going to the club and saying, hey, girl, look, I got this nice car. I can take you out. I've got this hookup at this restaurant, and I can go and take you to this nice restaurant. I've got this nice car. I also have this really nice date spot I can take you to go. I got this really nice place where we can go and have a picnic. And then I also have this, do you like sports? I've got to hook up with the Rockets tickets. And okay, so do you like, what about the ballet? I've got to hook up at the ballet. We can go watch the ballet in the VIP section. That's like, now she's like, nah, I don't like this dude. You done already blew it. You used all your ammunition.
Right.
You're going to say, look, I got something for you. Let me take you out. Give me an opportunity to show you how a lady's supposed to be treated. Then you woo her with all the stuff. You can't be throwing all your weapons out off the jump.
Yeah, I understand that because, it's been that, there's some things you building when you're in this business, because if you like at the first time, like we said, don't spill everything out. You know what I'm saying? just give them enough to get them excited about something, so you could, when you do get them in front of you, have that moment in time to kind of explain everything. But then what happens is they don't come. So then you get in a mentality where you're on that desperate mode. You're like, well, let's start talking about everything right now and try to influence at this time instead of trying to invite them to a later time to one of my meetings, and then they don't never show up.
Yep,
You know?
I get it. I understand. It makes complete sense. I mean, it's how it's how our minds work. So, but once you start doing it the other way and you start pulling people, it's really all piquing their interest in the delivery. Look, I work with an incredibly successful group of people. I can't tell you. That's why in the Cash Cow, it talks about be in a hurry, show value, and take it away. Look, I can't get into all the information right now because people naturally want what they can't have. Or when you show that you don't have time to get into it, they want to know more about it. But and that's, I mean, I used to do the same thing. When I was in Ambit, the first company I was in, I used to throw up all over everybody, and I blew it. But because I was so resilient and I had a decent sphere of influence because I was a high-level manager for 3 or 4 years prior to, I had access to a lot of people who looked at me in a certain light. So at the end of the day, I had some type of credibility with them from a business management success standpoint. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But at the end of the day, you know, you can build it cold market. But the cool thing is, I mean, you have, like I said, you have a business where you can talent scout these people that are coming in and then say, hey, you know what? I'd like to meet with you afterwards. I got something I want to show you. I won't even tell them it's coffee. I'm working with a group of people making a lot of money. That's it. How many people do you know that are making $250,000 to $1 million a year, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, that are willing to show you how they're doing it? None? Okay, great. Well, that's why we need to get together over a cup of coffee.
Mr. Schumacher, Lloyd Torres here. What I wanted to say was that, and you probably experienced this too, but a no from somebody isn't always a no, correct? Because like, for instance, I went into work because I work at King Soopers grocery store, and I took the K cups in to my boss, and because a while back I had told him that, because he asked about, well, do you guys have these in K cups? And at the time we didn't. Well, today I seen him. I went in a little early, and I was like, hey, they showed up. So I sparked his interest, right? Because all this time he'd been saying no, like with the little sachets. No, I'm good. But, and then he sees the Greg Norman on there. And he's like, oh, Greg Norman, huh? I'm like, yeah, he's our global brand ambassador, you know. And so after that, it was like, hey, is it okay if I bring my machine, because I had it on my phone, picture of it, and put it in the break room? He said, yeah, go ahead, do that. So all this stuff that was no before isn't really a no, huh?
Yep. I mean, yeah. I mean, the old saying, what is it? Sometimes it's not no, it's just not right now. So, I mean, yeah, exactly. And that could come just with time. I mean, people may want to just see if you're going to continue to do it before they let you leverage their, you know, sphere of influence, their sphere of, you know, employees or whatever. But anyway, so yeah, that's a great point, though.
Would you finish with it?
Yeah, I just it built me up today because there's times when you feel like, oh man, you know, especially because I work at the grocery store. We sell coffee, okay, but I know their coffee, all the coffee that's in that store don't have what we got, okay, and the managers, in the departments and everybody, none of the management has bought coffee from me. I've sold it to a lot of my coworkers, but I haven't been able to crack that like glass ceiling on the managers. And today, the store manager, the big fish, is like, yeah, let me see those, because it sparked, you know, he was excited, especially when he seen Greg Norman's signature on those, you know.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Let let's talk about this right here, because you brought up another good point. Because this is going on in society. Where you at in your town, it could be in New York, it could be Florida, Colorado, California. It doesn't matter. But the thing you brought up was emotional balance. And let me speak about emotional balance. Emotional balance is there's some things that I want you to understand is that a lot of people have never experienced success. Okay? So the things that we're going through right now, we're trying to get to a success level on OrGano goal, and we exhausted all our avenues financially, trying to, keep our monthly auto ships and stuff going. That's interfering because we're the process trying to, get our coffee out, sampling everything. Our avenues as far as our income and trying to keep up with ownership is interfering with our monthly, expenses, like bills and stuff like that. So emotionally, it takes you out and say, well, look, I have a priority in my life. Even though we join OrGano Gold and we trying to make OrGano Gold a priority to get us out from the position we're in life, emotionally, mentally, it's like, you go back to a depression mode. You know what I'm saying? So you say, okay, well, I had to go back to my priorities. My priorities is getting these bills and taking the money that I do have, and I need to pay these bills. I got kids, pay these bills, car notes. So it's affecting me to be able to keep up with my auto ship each month. You know what I'm saying? And time is a value too, man, because when you work in a 9 to 5, you don't have time to really get out there and try to work that hour or two with OrGano Gold and call up and do follow-ups. So emotionally, man, that emotionally balance kind of kicks in, man. I might be only speaking for myself, but I talk to myself a lot. I don't verbally speak out, but my mind thinks about a lot of this stuff every single day. And then you know what happens? Well, what happened to a lot of other people that didn't make an 18-month commitment? They give up. They say, well, you know what? OrGano Gold, I'm going to put OrGano Gold on the back burner because I need to continue to focus on my priorities. You know what I'm saying? So it's an emotional thing.
Let me just chime in here real quick. I know exactly what you're talking about. Let me give you a perfect example. There's no reason that somebody should be a star achiever or on a case every month if they don't have the adequate amount of customers to do it. Because if they buy the case to get the recognition, well, there's just going to be a certain period of time where what you're talking about happens. Now, do some people have to go through that experience? Yeah. Is it going to happen? Yeah, it's going to happen. But what I understand, and I clearly understand what you're talking about, what people have to do, and this is where, I always had a little bit of a different philosophy when it comes to this. I understand that everybody has their own journey that they're on. And if you push a person too soon, you're ultimately making their journey a little bit longer, or you're creating more instability for yourself because, yeah, you may have a good month this month because you made a lot of people get a case of product, but at the end of the day, they didn't create the customer flow to create that case to be sold and processed. Therefore, at some point, it's going to catch up with them, and they're going to be like, man, I got to pay my bills because I got all this coffee stacking up, and I'm not selling it. Well, that's because you were buying it, and you didn't have customers because you wanted to be whatever. So I understand exactly what you're talking about, but that comes down to, like you said, people having to get their priorities in line. And sometimes it sucks because we want to rush the process of success. And the other thing is, in OrGano Gold, there's a certain level of, focus on certain aspects of the business. And, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be. I'm glad that they have Star Achiever because Star Achiever is now not called a case club. So now people don't think that they need to be on the case club. But Star Achiever is, you know, you have processed 450 CV personally. So how do you become a star achiever? Well, you have 10 serviceable customers that are either buying coffee online or you're servicing them yourself. So you're always going to have people that just want the recognition and they're going to go buy a case. But the most important thing is people like me that are in a leadership position that are explaining to people, don't get all sidetracked with recognition in these pins, because when these bills start piling up and your husband or wife starts tripping because you ain't paying bills, and then the kids are tripping because you're gone, so now you're broke and you ain't spending no time with the kids, you're going to have a little situation that you're going to eventually going to have to deal with.
Right.
And so I've been there. I've been through it. Not so much on the bills piling up side, but with balancing kid time and success time, and you just have to. But there's no way to really train on it except, you know, set people's expectations so they know what to expect when they start to go through it. But the other thing is experience. You got to experience it. But I'd much rather wish somebody would have told me about what to expect before I started to go through it, because, you know, it might have helped. But anyway, go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, I was going to say, we went to a training up in Denver with, you know, Rod Smith's team, and he actually gave us a formula to get rid of that case so that as you turn it around, it's not coming out of your pocket, so you can do that case every month, and you're able to get rid of it. He even you know, broke it down as far as how many you can consume with it, and how many you can use at your CJMs, and then also, you know, how to sell the rest of it. So they actually do have a formula, so it's not a burden to you. You can actually turn that around without having to have it come out of your pocket.
Yeah, no doubt. And the other thing is events. I mean, so a lot of times I just got to keep it real. Sometimes people are not, and it's not to their own fault. It's like I can just tell from the example that we talked about, like with prospecting, for example. Like there was the example I just gave you guys with prospecting. I know that you haven't been doing it, so I don't know how long you've been in the business now, Antoine?
Well, we're going on what?
11 months.
Yeah.
So for 11 months, you've been ineffectively prospecting.
Yes.
So basically, the bread and butter of a growing business or a growing company is new business, new customers, new distributors in network marketing is concerned. So your business has never got on the upswing because you've been ineffectively doing it. Now, it's not because you haven't been working. It's just because it took 11 months for you to be at your upline's house to learn from somebody who has maybe just a hair more experience when it comes to this. But check it out. You could also have called me, and we could have been talking about this. San Antonio was in March, and you have my number, so you could have been calling me instead of waiting till July 1st.
Right. And you know what? I'm going to tell you what happened too. I think we took it when we first got into business. We took the teachings and the training literally. And when I mean literally, we took it to where we thought we had to push people into joining the business instead of building a customer base first. And now that it's switched up, now we're learning how to build this big customer base. I wish that the people that did show up at my house at my CJM, I wish I could have confronted them and not let them leave, not just giving them a one-way option. That's what I was pretty much doing with everybody when we was all there. We was pretty much giving them a one-way option instead of that two-way. Like, look, I know this business not be for everybody, but at least can you can you buy coffee from me, you know, and try the coffee and tell other people about it. I was pushing the application here. Sign this, get in the business, $200, $500, $1,300. It was just like, they were like, oh, what's going on, man? I'm not, you know. So I think I pushed it the wrong way. So now I'm trying to regain focus and sight by approaching it on the customer base level. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. Let me give you, check this out. Imagine having 11,000 people with a lot more tombstones than probably what you have, and how many more people that I could be making residual income off of if I would have done the same thing. So I know exactly how you feel, and that was the whole purpose of the Wave 2 event that we had like a month ago, that we did here locally, that I live streamed. That was one of the reasons that I talked a lot about that, because that was one of the biggest mistakes that we made. Because here's the thing, if you don't come on some people too hard and you let them grow at their own pace, they may end up being a superstar for you when they find their way in, you know, the process. They have to be able to see themselves fitting into the equation however they fit in, you know? So
Yeah.
I get it. And that's okay, Antoine, because check it out. Those people that you blew out, so to speak, you can go back to them still right now and say, hey, look, I know you weren't interested in the business. We're still rocking and rolling. I'm doing a customer blitz this month. I know you probably didn't get a chance to try the coffee, or maybe you tried the coffee, but you didn't get a long enough supply of the coffee to really feel the health benefits. And maybe I didn't even cover that much of it because we were so focused on recruiting. I'd love for you to buy a box and see how you feel after taking it for a week. And if you like the benefits, you're able to identify some health benefits, or go over some of the health benefits. Talk about the blood sugar levels and blood pressure and cholesterol stories. Now, obviously, I'm telling you this, you're not going to go make health claims, but you're going to give them, you know, some examples of different people that have had different health challenges and experienced some results from the product.
Right. And what we have did, we kind of broken our levels down. We went from pushing, and I'm just speaking for what me and Arlene been trying to do, you know what I'm saying? So we went from pushing people into the business, we stepped it back down, and we looked to try to just, you know, sell the product, you know. Now, you know, broke it back down, now we're on the retail level. So what we actually did, I invested in a concession stand. Now we're trying to fill up our calendar by booking into different events that's going on here in Colorado Springs, and we're actually doing this on a retail level. So now I'm pushing this concession stand, I'm setting up shop, and I'm trying to sell an individual by the cup and then have more people come to our booth, and then we step it up. So, well, we have a box here, and then step it up. Well, look, if you're interested in trying to make a little extra income, just like you said, my approach now, I know some people are very successful, very wealthy in this business. They're a group of people, and, you know, I would like to sit down and introduce you to them, and, you know, we go from there. So
that's good. Check this out. That's great, but that's not duplicatable. I say do that all day long, because you can do it. I mean, what you just explained to me, you understand what you're doing. You're going at your thought process is, I'm in the coffee retail business. That's my business. I'm not in the network marketing coffee business. I'm in the coffee retailing business with a opportunity to recruit them into a business of network marketing later after you get them as a customer and they show returning customers and blah, blah, blah. That's a great thought process. I wouldn't teach it because it takes a certain level of finances and a mouthpiece. Now, regardless of your success in network marketing and prospecting with what we talked about, when somebody's there at the booth, you've got a personality and a mouthpiece to sell them a box of coffee, especially if they're coming to your coffee booth to buy or look at coffee, right? That's really not duplicatable, so you really don't want people doing that. But that's a great, if that's how you have to process it in your mind, I say do it, and as long as it remains to be profitable. But you also need to understand, if you want to explode your business fast, you need to be creating a goal every month or every week as to how many prospects that you're getting, and then how many of those prospects you're putting in front of coffeederegulation.com, which is basically like OG Coffee Op or whatever, but it's me first talking about the generic facts of coffee, okay? And then it goes into Holton's Coffee That Pays. Because now when you put me on the phone with them on a three-way call, after you've piqued their interest, now you put them on a video, right? So you're at Starbucks, you prospect them, hey, I want to show you something, blah, 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 let's connect, let me get your number, I'm in a hurry, I got to go, or I got to go get on, I got to step outside and get on this conference call, let's exchange numbers, boom, 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 okay, cool. You call them later, hey, this is, you know, Antoine, I met you at Starbucks, hey, this is Antoine, I met you at the mall, hey, this is Antoine, I met you at Foot Locker, hey, this is Antoine, I met you at the gas station, hey, this is Antoine, you were my waiter at Saltgrass Steakhouse, and I want to, you know, I want to share with you a little bit what I'm talking about. We got people making X, Y, and Z, but here you go. Take a look at this video. I'll call you back in 45 minutes. You pick me up. You pick up the phone. Brett, look, I got somebody on the call, or I got somebody on the video. I'm gonna call you in 45 minutes. I want you to be on the lookout. I want you to be on the lookout because I got somebody on the video, somebody that I prospected at Starbucks. He's got his own business. He's a salesperson, whatever, right? So now, after 45 minutes, you call him. Hey, what'd you like best about what you saw? Oh, I like blah, blah, blah. Are you ready to get started, or you need a little bit more questions answered? Oh, I need a little more questions. Okay, great. I thought you'd say that. Hang on 1 second. Boom. You're not going to ask him if he's got time. You're not going to ask, hey, well, I want to put you on the phone with somebody. You just going to say, okay, good. I thought you would ask that, or I thought you would have some more questions. Hang on. Boom. You already told me that you got somebody on the video. You put me on the phone. Now you flip the switch. Hey, Mr. Shoemaker. Hey, look, I got you on the phone here with Mike. You know, Mike's in the rental car business and a real go-getter. I told him about you. You had some experience in the rental car industry before you had, made millions of dollars in network marketing. I really appreciate you taking this call. And he's already watched the video and got to see a little bit about the information from you and Mr. Bugs. But Mr. Shoemaker, this is Mike. Mike, this is Mr. Shoemaker, the first gentleman you saw in the video. Take it away. Boom. Now, you piqued his interest. You followed up. You put him on a video. The first person he saw in the video was me, even though he didn't know who I was at first. He saw me for 8 minutes. Then the next thing he saw was Holton's Coffee That Pays, right? Now you put him back on the. At that point, he's either, if he answers the phone when you call back in 45 minutes, he's probably interested at some degree. And at that point, you're just going to put me on the phone. And you're just sorting and sifting, sorting and sifting, sorting and sifting. That's all you're doing.
What happened to the point where we're supposed to use the 5-checker, the 4-checker guideline? You know what I'm saying? When we prospecting people, because those are teachings that you teach us, but we was you told us we was told about it, but as far as literally finding these 4 checkers and having that beneficial for us, I mean, is that something?
How? Let me ask you a question. You can't come straight out and ask somebody, hey, are you married? Hey, do you have a mortgage? Hey, do you have this? Hey, do you have that? Right?
Right.
But in your own sphere of influence, you know what if these people are 4-checkers or 5-pointers or whatever. But when you're prospecting, you're not, you can try to gauge by asking pointed questions. Oh, so you married, you got some kids, blah, blah, blah. You can gauge some of that, but you're probably not going to be able to see, based upon the prospect, if they're a 4-checker or a 5-pointer. you're talking about your sphere of influence and your list, that's where that comes into play, your list. But when you're talking about prospecting, that's a whole different ball of wax. You can't worry about 4-pointers. The only thing you worry about when you're prospecting is, are they dressed sharp? Do they have the right smile, confidence? Do you want to go talk to them, or do they say stay away? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Hey, Brett.
Yes.
This is John again. Hey, I know we're asking a lot of questions, and we really appreciate your time. Sometimes I'm in the shop and I work up front. Antoine works in the back. And do you think it's a good idea for me to sample people there, make them a cup of coffee, and if they're interested, show them the plan and do everything at once?
I don't think, if you're gonna give them coffee, this is my thought process, okay?
Yes.
If you're gonna give them coffee, it's because you want them to buy a box.
Right. That's it.
It's not the time and place to show the plan, because two things are gonna happen. Number one, there's no urgency for them to join right now, because they already know where to come back and get you, and they're at your shop to do business. So it's not like you can say, hey, I need you to sign this application right now and join, because you're just messing off your own business, you know?
Right.
So you don't have the ball in your court. You don't have a power position. But if you pull them out of the place and you get them one-on-one, now you're not John the tire guy, you're John the business guy. Okay. Now, I like giving them coffee on the spot and then trying to sell them coffee, because there's a book by Robert Cialdini called Influence, okay? And the law of reciprocation in people's mind, if you give them a cup of coffee and ask them to buy a box after that, they're going to feel obligated to buy a box, mentally. You follow me?
Right.
But I'm not about to go into a dissertation of the opportunity right there. No, absolutely not.
All right, cool.
I want them away from it, so there's no distractions, no other customers walking in. Hey, you know what? Hang on one second. Let me go with this customer. I'll be right back. Because then they're going to be like, no, I got to go. And then you blew your opportunity to a 3-way call. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You just can't focus and do what you need to do effectively.
Thanks, sir.
Cool. All right, guys. Anything else?
Steve, you got something?
I think I'm good. Yeah, answered everything.
You got a question? Come on.
So I've been saying though, through all the ups and downs, and it don't have to be an OrGano. It don't have to just be the network marketing. It's like I said, it could be ups and downs in your marital situation, home life. It could be mentally ups and downs. The thing is, one thing you have to do, you have to not only make a commitment to what you're doing, like you got to make a commitment to yourself. And by doing that, you got to tell yourself, look, I'm in it to win it, ups and downs. One of our guidelines, the 4 steps, is make that 18-month commitment, stay plugged. And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You can't dictate. The thing is, you don't want to ever dictate. And I might say this wrong, so if you shake your hand and wave your hand, go ahead and butt in. But you don't want to dictate what you think is going to happen tomorrow. You want to plan it and hope that it falls in place. Because I dictated that during the meetings. I dictated that within 6 months I'm gonna be a Sapphire, and then I didn't do that. So now the mental thing kicked in. Now I'm questioning myself.
Yeah, well, let me jump in real quick. I think 6 months for Sapphire, I think that's a great goal. But you got to think about it now that we're having these conversations and we're able to go and look in retrospect. You already said yourself that you might have blown up some things. You might have miscalculated how to do certain things. So you got to stop and say after 11 months, well, dang, I may have messed up, or I may not have approached it how I should have approached it. I maybe blew out some good people. Maybe I came on too strong at some people that would have ended up being good. I mean, so you got to stop and say, it's great to have goals, but now you have to say, I need to reassess now that I've learned. I have new experiences. But if you beat yourself up and say that you didn't do it right or whatever, then yeah, you're going to feel a certain way about it. But what I would say is, okay, great. I've been doing this 11 months. I'm learning more. Now I've realized that, dang, I wish I would have known this early on. But let me make this my whole focus, that when I sponsor somebody next week, that I want to make sure that I teach them what I just went through 11 months of hell learning.
Right.
Because that right there is the difference of you being able to be ready for, you talked about being ready for that right person. Well, there's your answer right there. You now have a story. You can use all of the crap you've been through and all the wrong things that you did as a tool to get people to do the right thing from day one.
Right. And I noticed on your personal sponsors, your last person that really got out there and got it, your Sapphire, then it went to 6, 7, 8, and nobody was doing nothing. And you know, them type of people, I'm not saying on you, but those are kind of people that we ran into. And the thing is that these type of people say OrGano gold, nah, it's not all that. You know what I'm saying? But mentally, it's a reverse thing. It's no, you're not actually doing OrGano gold is balling right now. You know what I'm saying? That's going down with OrGano gold. Right now, as we speak right now, there's probably 6,000 meetings going on throughout the whole continent and wherever. You know what I'm saying? So OrGano gold is going down, but it's just this mental thing that people, when they jump into it, it's the aspect about how they're going to dictate what's going to happen in this business by the way we present it verbatim is not following through for the people. So now they're looking at OrGano gold not having a successful business. And no, it's not OrGano gold, it's the individual that's not being taking advantage of a business that's already successful.
And a smart person understands that, and that's why it's important to point to the leadership on the Gold Magazine, myself, different videos like that, because you can always point to somebody else that you know that you're connected to that's having the success that you're looking for or that they're looking for. So any smart person understands that, you know, not everybody that becomes a realtor is selling $1 million worth of property a year.
Right. And then, you know, you had the guys, and I'm about done after this one. Then you, you know, it's a battle though, you know, Mr. Shoemaker. It's a battle because you got people that fell off the business, they got out of the business, and then they turn around and after they see the facts about OrGano gold and about, you know, they see all the facts about the success level of people that's in there, and they quit the business. And they turn around and backstab the business, so they're spreading like a virus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
I do know what you're saying. I get it.
And
here's what I would say, Antoine, because out of everybody there, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna bust your chops a little bit right now. Okay? Out of everybody that's there, you always ask intelligent questions. In my opinion, you've got the confidence. I told you that whenever we met in person. What I think you need to do is put all of the past behind you. You need to say, I'm brand new, I'm a single OG pup, and I need to woo some brand new OrGano gold recruits. And you need to go out there and act like you ain't never sponsored a new recruit and you don't even know what it feels like to sponsor a new recruit, but you know all the right moves, you got all the right lines, you got the perfect OG recruit dating coach, which is me, and I'm going to be able to give you all the right lines, and you're going to go become a prospecting machine. Because once you flip that switch and you stop focusing on all the other stuff, you have no other focus but how many people did I prospect today? How many people did I follow up with from me prospecting and put in front of the video? And how many three-way calls did I put on with myself or Mr. V Hill or John or whoever? Because the only thing that's going to build your business, you already got the customer taken care of. Retail, that's easy. You got it done. You're going to go, if one show makes you profit, you're going to go do it again. If one doesn't, you ain't going to, you understand that. I don't have to explain that to you. You understand mathematics and having your own business. I don't have to explain that. But at this point, you're prospecting. It's like gold mining. They used to call it gold prospecting because you don't know where the gold's at, but you got to keep going and looking for it till you find it. But it's out there. So right now, all I would focus on is prospects and three-way calls after you put them in front of the video. That's it. That's something you can control because it's all about you. You can't blame that on anything other than how many people did I prospect? How many people's interest did I pique? How many people did I put in front of the video? That's all about you. It's not about customer acquisition. It's not about none of that.
Right. And that's what me and Arlene we're going to start doing. That everything in the past, like you said, that was the training session. That was class. Class.
Now you're ready. Now you're ready to get out on the football field and go tackle somebody.
Right. Class is over. So now we know what not to do and what to do. So that's what we plan on doing it now.
Guys, I want y'all to know I'm here tonight. I was there in San Antonio. Y'all know I drove. I don't know if y'all know this, but I drove. Yeah, y'all know I drove 45 minutes in I'm committed to supporting whatever you guys do, but I know I've been doing this long enough, and trust me, I have made multiple trips to markets where I should have done stuff like this because it wasn't about, sometimes you go to a place and think that they need one thing, but you're not paying attention to the vital signs. If their blood pressure is high, they have a headache, not because they need some Tylenol. They're eating wrong. They're stressed out. They need other help. They don't need Tylenol. You know what I'm saying? But you just try to prescribe something without paying attention to all the vital signs. And so, I'm here for you guys to build this, but we just got to go out and do the necessary daily activities. And going out and recruiting, in network marketing, recruiting is the name of the game, whether it's recruiting customers or recruiting business. In business, period, every business is a product or service business. New customers means revenue. Without new customers and revenue coming in, a business is going out of business unless they've sustained residual customer base that continues to pay over time, which is exactly what we want as well. So it's just Business 101 with the sky is the limit.
So check this out. We're going to shoot you a text with our numbers. Program this in your phone because and my only thing is there a certain time of day or certain days that you are not available for a three-way call?
Sunday until 2 or 3. Let's just say 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. Sunday till 3 o'clock Central Standard Time, I am not available.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm available unless you text me and I'm on a date night or something like that. That's why you let me know ahead of time, whatever. But I'm pretty flexible.
Okay. So that's what I need to know. So.
But Sunday, yeah, Sunday's not. Mike got me on. He texted me on Sunday and he got me because I was at the gym. I don't normally work out at that time on Sundays, but yeah, I'm on Sundays. I'm not available till after. Usually it's 2, but I used to say 2, and then I would not be available till like 2:30. So 3 is really the best time, and I'll just continue in my mind say 2. But that's the deal. Sundays is the time I take with the kids and church and all that stuff.
And so the rest of the week you available.
Unless I got a date night. That's my only disclaimer.
Okay. Well, I mean, is it possible you can make that known? I'm on a date night with my spouse on Facebook, and we know, look, this is
I make you a deal. When you start doing 10 three-way calls a week, I will make sure that you know exactly what my date night schedule is.
Is your hand out?
Hey, that's a handshake. Hey, just so you know, naturally, if I have certain people that I'm like constantly on three-way calls with, then I'm letting them know, look, I'm not going to be available here because I don't want them to be making calls during that time and whatever, but I'm pretty much available whenever. Now, let me give you a perfect example. John has done this before, and I'm sure he's probably shared with you. There's times he'll call me and I don't get back with him, or I'm busy, or it's a day or two, or maybe I end up talking to Mike and I say, hey, Mike, let John know that we talked or whatever. If he needs something, let me know. But here's the deal. I'm always busy 24/7, and so I always have time and it's flexible, but I've got to work in. Once you start doing a couple three-way calls and I'm like, okay, John knows what's going on. Antoine knows what's going on. Now, you know how I operate. You know how to operate now, and it's like text back, hey, wait 30 minutes. I'm in the store with the kids or something. So you know what I'm saying? So the more we work together and the frequency's high, or it becomes regular, I can, it's like anybody else, It's like, let me give you an example. It's like when a home builder, when you're a subcontractor is not interested in a custom home builder that builds one house a year, because they've got a bunch of other people that are relying on them constantly, and they've got to balance their schedule between all these other home builders that are sending them 5 and 10 homes a year. You understand what I'm saying? So those subcontractors are like, when they get around to that other home builder that builds one home a year, they're like, look, I can do it, but it's going to cost you. Now, I'm not charging for three-way calls, but I'm just saying it's difficult to shift around stuff, but I'm available. You guys start. Here's my what do you call the grace period? So you guys have a 7-day grace period where you don't have to be the subcontractor that builds 5 or 10 houses a year. You got 7 days to start texting me. In the next 7 days, if you guys text me or call me, you'll have a response within the hour. How's that?
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Okay.
So you got a grace period. You got a high volume grace period.
Okay.
Awesome. One thing that I wanted to kind of have you touch on a little bit is a little bit of calendar training. Can you do a little bit of calendar training for us, or are we going too long?
Yeah, we're already 2 hours, and I was supposed to call somebody at 10. Let's do this. I think we've covered a lot of good stuff. Let's leave it with getting everybody focused on, if they're going to get with you independently, Mike, about in terms of certain goals and stuff like that, since nobody really asked a specific question about that, maybe everybody can kind of understand where I'm going with that. And I would focus on like prospecting and exposure, exposing people to the information. Let's focus on that. And because right now at this point, it seems like most people need bodies to show the plan to, and need bodies that have a sphere of influence to expose the plan to. So
yeah.
Calendar training at this point is really not as important as exposure and prospecting and recruiting implementation is.
Yeah, you're right. So so would you recommend like disc 2 on?
Here's what I would do. You have everybody. This is the challenge that I would lay out to everybody that's there. And Mike, you can do this. My challenge to everybody that's there right now is everybody commit to a certain level of prospect exposure, prospecting, and out of the, like, say for example, I'm going to prospect 10 people over the next 7 days, and out of those 10 people, I'm going to expose 4 of them to the information, and out of those 4, I want to put 2 of them on a 3-way call with either Mr. V Hill or myself. That kind of goal. That's the kind of goal I'll be setting. Even if it's 5, 2, and 1, or 10, 5, and 2, whatever it is, that's what I would do while everybody's there. Everybody's got accountability partners. Everybody's got this. Everybody's trying to build the same market. We got, you know, I don't know if Genevieve and Diana are still on the call, Mike, but I would follow up with them and see if they heard the challenge as well. And let's make a challenge out of it. See who can prospect and get the most people exposed to the information to do the three-way call, etc. over the next week.
All right.
I got a challenge for you, because you gave us a lot of challenges, a lot of pointers. So I got one for you.
What's that?
Shoulder shrug. Shoulder shrugs. Shoulder shrugs. Work on your shoulder shrugs.
You saying I got no traps or what? I got some traps now. Don't make me put my shirt off.
Yay!
I'm gonna work on my shoulder shrugs so I can have my football pads up.
Okay, good.
Boys will be boys.
All right, guys.
Man, good talking to you.
All right, man. Good
Thank
talking to you. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.